Blessings and peace to you. This is SB Favor Thinking Podcast, and my name is SB Favor. How are you doing today? It is Thursday, October 6, 2022. Another wonderful day and another day to be thankful. And as I always say, if you focus on what is good, then you can project something good to happen. So make sure you maintenance your thought life and focus on the positive things, because there is no benefit in focusing on the negative things. I hope everybody had a good day. My day was very good, and I'm just really thankful just to see another day. If you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $SB Favor. Thank you so much for your donations. Well, I have a special guest today, but before I do the intro to who she is, I will also like to remind you, please keep yourself safe and keep your family members safe. There's a lot going on in our country. COVID is still out there, and I just want to remind you to keep yourself safe and wear your mask when you need to. I always remind you of this because I care, so please do your part to keep yourself safe and keep your family members safe. Well, my guest for this episode is Dominique McDaniel. She has a book titled No One Is Coming: Mastering the Ability to Live Through Dark Moments by Understanding the Finished Work of Christ. And the title of this episode is Know Your Own Power. We all have gone through different things in our life, from childhood through family, just different things in different seasons. And we all have to do the work. I always talk about that on this podcast. We all have to do the work, and we also have to understand how to depend on God. And when I say depend, I'm talking about reaching for someone which is higher than you. So I want to help you to understand that in this episode. And of course, this powerful author, Dominique McDaniel, she's going to explain to you what it's like to own your power. We all have to understand we all are powerful in our own right, because God has made us all powerful. And when we go through something, we all have an opportunity to come out on the other side empowered. There are many processes of circumstances and situations that we have all gone through in life. And when we depend on God, then we just become better, sharper, healed. So I hope that this episode is inspiring, encouraging, and insightful. Dominique, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited to join you and to just be a part of this amazing podcast.
Thank you so much for just being willing to come on, because I've been trying to get you for a while, but the days went by so fast, the months went by so fast, and so finally you are here. And so thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. So let's get into it. You have this awesome book, No One Is Coming: Mastering the Ability to Live Through Dark Moments by Understanding the Finished Work of Christ. That's a powerful title. So tell me a little bit about yourself first. I already know who you are, but the listeners need to know who you are. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for having me again. I'm always inspired by you continue to persevere through this space and just stretching our minds, stretching our thinking, and always encouraging our spirits. So I'm so grateful just to even be able to share this platform with you, that you would share this platform with me, to be able to talk about me and my book. And so about me, I am just an enthusiastic individual. I absolutely love God. And I'm a mother, a wife. But on top of that, I'm in just full pursuit of my purpose and fulfilling that in the best way that I can, and just trying to be everything that God has called me to be. And so God just really inspired me to write this book when I was going through a low season in my life. I heard the words, literally, no one is coming. And I remember I was in a room and I was crying and I was just really hurt. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me. No one is coming. Like, I've already came. I've already done the work. you have to believe that in your heart. You have to receive that, and you have to walk it out with me. And so literally, it was one of those moments, you could see the person just hurt and crying, and the tears just go away. And you just get up and you're like, it's time to, you just feel empowered, you feel strong. You're like, it's time to do the work. And
that's
so,
awesome.
So I just, from there, got to writing, and really just felt, inspired by God.
That's awesome. You just explained the title of this episode, Know Your Own Power. Because we all are powerful when we know that we are powerful. And you just explained the power that you held on to in the moment where you needed it. You heard his voice, you heard the Holy Spirit, and you held on to that power, which is already in you. And we all are powerful in our own right, but we have to know our own power. So tell me about another time in your life where you recognized your power, but you didn't use it.
Oh, wow. That's a powerful question. A time where I recognized my power and I didn't use it.
Yes.
I would say, there were some moments throughout my academic journey where, those of you that don't know me, I've studied mathematics my whole life. I've gotten a degree in mathematics, got a master's or two in statistics, and there were several times where it was in these programs and no one looked like me. There was no African American women in the program or whatnot, and so and no faculty. So there were times where people would try to say things that would try to push me out or keep me out from actually succeeding and working through the program. And so those were times where I knew that God had called me to be in this space. I knew that this was in my fiber and in my being and my sole purpose for being here. But there were, when things get challenging and when things get difficult, other people can be used of sort to try to push you and keep you out of what you're supposed to be. And so they would say things, like, oh, well, why are you trying to get this? Maybe you'd be better off with, just kind of working with the degree that you have. You don't really need to get this graduate degree, you know what I mean? Or maybe this isn't for you. And so it's those little things that sort of started picking away at me and kind of making me to not really feel the same energy and excitement that I came in with, you know what I mean? And so, and tried to chip away kind of at my power.
Wow.
But again, like you said, like I mentioned, just through this book and through other resources and mentors and things like that, that kind of helped to uplift me and remind me of, who I am and what I am called to be.
Excellent. I believe that opposition is always an opportunity to be empowered. Sometimes people think, well, I can obtain power just by walking around looking cute. No. When you go through something in life and you press through, then you have the opportunity to come out on the other side as you press through to be empowered. And that's what you did. And I love the fact that you said that you were in the midst of it and things were chipping away, but you just kept standing up. And you know what? When you said that, I kept thinking about fortification. You were being fortified in the process. And so because you stayed the course, you are empowered on another level. So in that moment, so you realize your own power, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, and also, the other thing is my mom. My mom was just a person of, those of you that don't know, I lost my mom in 2018. But she was somebody who definitely, recognized her power and continuously modeled that. And then I saw her look cancer in the face, and when cancer was trying to tell her that she didn't have any power and that she was weak and that she didn't even have any life back, she still stood up in the midst of what the doctors were saying, what the reports were saying, and said, no, I have power. I still have breath in my body.
Yes.
I'm still going to give God praise, and I'm still going to, represent and execute everything that God called me to be while I have time on this earth. And so if I think about knowing your power, that's a number one example was my mom.
Yes.
Because she represented just knowing it, operating in it, and occupying her power. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Last year we had the opportunity, me and you, we had the opportunity to sit down and talk at my daughter's wedding, and it was such a blessing because in that moment I saw the strength of God all over you, because during that same time my mother had passed away a week before that. And while me and you were talking, I'm going to tell you this now, you really blessed me in that moment. You really blessed me. Yeah, because I saw the strength of God just all over you, and you're just a phenomenal woman. I don't want you to ever forget that,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's get into the book. What do you want your readers to understand about No One Is Coming?
Really, I want them to understand and to know that life has, we're going to go through things in life, right? We're going to go through feelings of loneliness and doubt and fear, grief and transition, all of these things. We all experience this at some point in life, but and it may bring us into a low place in life. We may feel low in the moment, may feel those things may drive us into a low place. But I want us to know and to recognize that, yes, we may be in a low place, but God didn't call for us to stay in a low place. And sometimes the low place is necessary and needed in life for us to get where he wants us to go. But he didn't call for us to stay there. He actually has reserved a space for us with him, because in the Bible it tells us that we are seated in heavenly places with the Father. So he has said, hey, I've made accommodations for you. I've made a place for you, and I want you to sit here, and not sit here like after you leave this earth, but sit here while you're while you're alive, while you have breath in your body, to sit, to feel comfortable with me, and to know that you have power, to know that you have authority, to know that regardless if anybody ever validates you or affirms you or recognizes it, that I've already qualified you, affirmed you. I've already given all of these things before the foundations of this world, before you were even here. I've thought about this, and I've set you up for success. So regardless of what life circumstances bring, regardless of what tries to come your way, pandemic, COVID-19, grief, loss of a loved one, I'm still here. I'm still with you, and I'm walking with you through every single low place that life brings you. And you are still going to reign in victory with me while you're here. Not in some later on time, but while you're here.
Yes.
You're going to experience it now.
Yes, that's right. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's the message. I want people to be encouraged, to be inspired, and to know that, yeah, we experience it. And yes, it's hard. And so I go through plenty of examples of different biblical characters, just so we can be kind of encouraged, inspired. And I talk about my story within the book as well, but just to sort of uplift us and inspire us to know that, listen, no one is coming, but God already came, and that you can have life and have it more abundantly.
Absolutely. That's very powerful. We all have to learn about who he is when we're going through something. Come on now. That is an opportunity to learn about your power, the power of God that's in you, and who you are. Like you just said, Dominique, in the midst of everything you have gone through, you have seen him right there pulling you through. And that's a beautiful thing. That's why I always say, it's an opportunity. Opposition, it's an opportunity. When you go through something, it's an opportunity. Don't look at it, listeners, like, oh, I'm going through this just to be going through. No, 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 no. Everything that we experience day by day, no matter what it is, look at it as an opportunity for you to know your own power. Dominique, I just thank you so much for saying what you just said, because you were sparking a flame. I felt that.
I get excited.
Yes, yes.
I was in some hard places in life, but when God can turn your ashes into beauty, it's just a beautiful thing. So I'm so grateful just to even, have the opportunity to be used by God to even, birth out something like this book. It's just amazing.
Yeah, in the intro I was talking about there are seasons and processes of different things that we all go through, from childhood to changing jobs, relationships, family, friendships, all kinds of different things that we go through. So in the midst of a big change, what would you say to someone to stay inspired in the midst of a big change? Because change produces growth. But what would you say to someone that is trying to make the adjustment to a big change?
Yeah, that's funny. I was just thinking about the chapter in my book where it talks about transition and kind of like just moving, changing from state to state, or just dealing with the loss of a loved one, and just how that sort of, changes you, and just kind of understanding what transition is. And I think like one of the stories in the Bible that I sort of referenced there was Isaiah, his story. Isaiah, was a prophet, and he did a lot of great things in his ministry. But in one of his most like painful moments is when his ministry was birthed. And that's what I always thought was like amazing about him, because it was like his dad was dying, and literally in the Bible it talks about, okay, in the year that his dad was dying, that's when he began to see the Lord. That's when he began to see the glory of the Lord. And that's when he was beginning to start to announce and start to prophesy and start to become who he is. So it was like in the time that he was supposed to be bent over and sad that his dad was dying, that's when God decided to use him. And so it's like while we're going through these transitions, it's important for us to remain open, to remain sensitive, to kind of see what God is trying to do, because oftentimes when there is a transition, he's trying to make room for something. He's trying to allow us to bring on another level or another dimension of freedom within that, or even sometimes there's another place of discovery within that. Or lastly, I would say access. Sometimes God is trying to give us access to something in that transition. So it's important for us to remain sober and sensitive and available to God in those difficult places, and really lean in and say, okay, what are you trying to get from me in this, and what does this mean? And when he gives you that, just go after it. Yeah.
Amen. You just reminded me of the time last year when my mom passed, because she passed 1 week before Sook was to be married, my daughter, right? And people kept asking me, how are you going to do it? Are you going to call the wedding off? What are you going to do? People kept asking me that. And in that moment, I kept telling myself, you just said it, God was requiring something from me. And so I had to focus on what was necessary in order to get through. So thank you for reminding me of that. And I still think about that now, just to know what, if anything at all, what I need to do. And it's just a beautiful thing. Like you said, some things don't feel good, but in the transition or even in the pain, there is beauty for ashes, like you said. And it's just a beautiful thing, because God is always trying to get us to see something we never seen before, experience something we never experienced before. Every day that we live is an opportunity to see something greater in yourself, see something greater in God. And it's just a beautiful thing. This journey is full of beauty. That's why I always tell my listeners, Dominique, focus on what is good. I always say that because if we wake up each day understanding that we have a power and knowing that power, which is God in us, then guess what? We can do something greater and something better every single day. So, Dominique, I have a few more questions for you, but before I get into those questions, let me ask you this. What would you like to say to someone that has given up on their goal or their dream in life? What would you like to say to that person right now? Because I feel the need to ask you that right now.
So I would let that person know that, I in this academic journey and just even through my journey within the corporate world, there have been many seasons of life where I suffered through like a lot of disappointment, a lot of rejection, a lot of, rejection letters, and things like that. And so a lot of times what people only see is the finished product, but they don't see just every step that it took to get there. And so for someone who is, just struggling with their dreams and just, maybe it's been a while, like it's been a delay, a significant delay. And I've gone through that as well. I would say this, that just remember this, all things work together to him that loves the Lord. And so every single piece counts. You know what I mean? Every place of disappointment, every place of rejection, everything, every success, every failure, everything is working together. And so it's all for me. It's all working together for your good. I want them to know that, I can trace back within my life and recognize, okay, the times where I received the disappointments helped me in the moments where I was speaking to large crowds of people and their faces didn't necessarily agree with what I was saying, but I knew what, I was supposed to, I was saying what I was supposed to be saying. And so it helped me to deal with that disappointment. It made me stronger in those moments. And so, we don't want ourselves to subject ourselves to any places of abuse or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but sometimes, certain doors don't open. Sometimes we don't see certain approval that we thought we would see, or sometimes we don't see the recognition that we would like to see in the season that we think we're supposed to see it. But I just say, continue to pursue, continue to go after. Your time is coming. I believe I was in a service last week and they were saying your season is changing. And so I just believe that there is a new season, there's a new awakening for you. And I just pray that the fire never dies in you, that you would just continue to just burn and to be on fire for what you're supposed to do, and that you would continue to just have and not let your hope not be discouraged in this, but really just continue to press, continue to pursue God, and continue to allow him to speak to you through this moment, because your dream is real and your dream matters, and what God has in you, can't nobody else take it from you. You got to continue to do it and continue to know it even when nobody else sees it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk to me a little bit about mastering the ability to live through darkness and moments by understanding the finished work of Christ, because that subtitle is very powerful. Mastering the ability.
Yeah, mastering that ability, mainly it goes through just really first and foremost, just understanding that, Christ, God has suffered, he suffered through everything that we've suffered through. And I think we don't ever see that or know that, he had gone through and knows what it feels like to be lonely. He knows what it feels like. He's out there, trying to, pray and on his way to the cross. He in those seasons of his life, he knew what it was like to be different. He knew what it was like to not fit in. He knew what it was like to grieve his Lazarus, he knows all of that type of suffering and things like that. And so he can walk with us through those moments. And so literally the book just kind of walks through just all of these dark places that we can sort of go into in our life, and kind of just speaks to us and just recognize, okay, hey, everything that we are going through or that we are feeling or that we're experiencing that life is trying to throw at us, he's already been through and he's already experienced it. And he is not just the God that wants to be with you when you got all the money in the bank and when you got everything going well, but he's the one that wants to be with you when you don't feel good.
Right.
When things aren't happening the way you thought it would be or you thought it planned. He's the person that wants to be with you, and he wants to, allow you to even experience joy in sadness.
Absolutely.
He wants to be with you in that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To really just get in the ring with you, and then position you and posture you so that now as these things come, that in everything you can give thanks. That in everything you can still, like, even when things don't look like it's supposed to, I still have power.
That's right.
Yes. I still have power, and I still have the ability. I still have just grace and authority with him. Because, like I said, the main point in Ephesians, where he's talking there, he's saying, okay, and he has raised us together and made us to sit together in heavenly places with him. That literally means it's like, okay, it's like the person in the lunchroom, like you're walking into a lunchroom.
That's right.
And you see it's crowded and you don't know where to sit and you're feeling lost and you're feeling like afraid, or you're feeling like it's just, I got so many thoughts or things going in my head, I don't know what to do. And then you see somebody in the lunchroom and they're like, hey, I've already made a seat for you. Just come sit here.
That's
and it's
right.
like literally, that's what God is saying. Like, I've already made accommodations for you. I've already created a special place for you. I've created a place where you can rest and you don't even have to think about it. And I'm not talking about heaven, y'all. I'm not talking about,
that's right.
After we do, I just want to make that clear. I'm saying you
right now, that's
like,
right.
You can rest in your spirit. You can rest in your spirit and your spirit, man, and be at rest. Even though things may go going on in this crazy world, you can be at rest and you can have peace, and even in this, and you can be, seated with him. You have a right, like it's literally a place, a seat that he created for you. That means you have a right. It's a seat for you, and it's not okay. I have a seat, and such doesn't have a seat. No, we all have a seat. As long as we've accepted him and we've acknowledged him, we all have a seat. So he's created a seat for you, for all of us. And so it's like, for us to be, take up that space with him, to us to reside, for us to rest, for us to just, recognize that we have that membership, that placement with him. And so that's like the big idea. Like, I'm giving it all away.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I always think of that place in his heart, if I just focus on him, no matter what's going on, that place in his heart, that is the place that I will reside, right? That's how I look at it. When you say seated in heavenly places, I know that I have a place there, but right now in this space on the earth as well, guess what? My focus is on him because I have a place in his heart. So I always think of it like that. But that's a beautiful thing. We all are so privileged to be able to pray, because I count prayer as a privilege. It is a privilege. It is a privilege to know your own power to pray. It is a privilege to know your own power to focus on God. It is a privilege to know your own power to give him thanks and praise every single day. It is a privilege to know your own power, that when you wake up in the morning, you have access to absolute sovereignty, which is the sovereign power of God. So
yeah. When you talk about, you keep going back to that, knowing your own power, I think about Nehemiah. I feel like he was somebody in the Bible that really just knew and recognized his power from the beginning. Like, nobody had to say, hey, this is who God called you to be. No, he knew from the beginning. Matter of fact, he reminded God of what he said about him and what he was supposed to be doing. Like, God, you told me that I'm here to rebuild this wall.
That's right.
So where are you at? Where's the opportunity to do it? Because this is what you told me. And so he was just forever like committed to that, and just stayed confident in that. He stayed committed to what he made sure. Or sometimes we forget to like go back to the basics and just really have a strong like prayer life, and really push and really pray whatever we feel like God is speaking to us, and being committed to the burden. And he, like I said, he didn't forget the promise that God had spoke to him, and he had the mind to work, the mind to do it. And when people were whispering and saying stuff, or why are you doing that? You shouldn't be doing God. You shouldn't be doing all of this. And he said, I'm doing a great work, and I'm not coming down. I'm not about to come down to y'all level and get into that space with y'all. I recognize who I am, who God called me to be, and I'm going to do the work. And he did not stop until it happened.
That is so true.
Yes,
that's so true.
Definitely.
Wow. Well, I want to mention something you stated earlier. You talked about feelings. Don't pay attention to your feelings. So we're going to wrap it up, but I want you to just tell the listeners, the dangers of going by your feelings real quick. We can't pay attention to that, but speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, our feelings are important. Our feelings, they're indicators. Our feelings, they help us to be human. They help us to, feel what others feel like Jesus felt the infirmities like us. He, help us to feel and to identify, with, who we are, just as humans, but they're not our leaders.
That's right.
Feelings are not our leaders. So, that's why the Bible says, you can be angry, but sin not. So, I can feel the feeling of anger, but I shouldn't allow that to lead me to what I'm going to actually do. I should allow God, I should allow the Holy Spirit to lead me into actually all truth, because that's what the Bible actually says.
Absolutely.
And so I should be led by him. I should be led by, his word. I should be led by, wise counsel and things like that. And so just recognizing and differentiate, okay, this is maybe how I feel, but this may not be what God said.
That's right.
It's a difference. And so just recognizing, okay, yeah, it's important to have feelings. You're going to feel grief. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel that pain. You're going to feel all of that. But you also have to recognize, okay, but what did God say?
What did God say? What did God say? Because in a place of faith, you got to go by what you believe, what you know, versus your feelings. Because your feelings could be telling you something contrary of your faith too. We can't forget that. And we don't want to ever be in a place where, as you stated, Dominique, we're just being led by our feelings. So, listeners, I appreciate you for listening to SB Favorite Thinking Podcast. Dominique, tell the listeners where they can purchase No One Is Coming. Tell them where they can purchase it.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. You can also go to my website, which is DominiqueMcDaniel.com, and you can purchase it there. Also, you can find me on Instagram. It's Dominique A. McDaniel. And I'm on Facebook as well as Dominique and McDaniel. So, yeah, I would love to connect with you all. And just thank you for listening. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Great. And so, listeners, once again, thank you for tuning in to listen to SB Favorite Thinking Podcast. And Dominique, I thank you so much for just taking the time to be here. And listeners, this is family. This is my family. And I'm proud of her, okay? I got to say that. So keep doing the work, keep doing positive and great things. I will definitely continue to support all that you do, and I will have you back soon. And is there anything else you want to share?
Sure. I can just, if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind just a word of encouragement. Though this season may feel difficult, I know we're coming out of a pandemic, and it was a lot. It was a lot for all of us to take in, to deal with. And it's kind of, if it shifted or changed our world, the way we do things, the way we operate. And so, though it may seem difficult, though it may have seemed that, you may be in a low place right now and you may even feel broken, I want you to remember that it's in the broken place that is the best place for God to do what he intended to do with you. It's when you feel broken that he can bless you. It's when you acknowledge that brokenness and bring that brokenness to him and allow him into that brokenness that he can bring it all together and make something beautiful out of it. So just submit that to him, bring it to him, and I promise you, he will change it around for your good.
That is absolutely 100% correct. And listeners, don't forget, know your own power. We all have gifts and talents and abilities, and we must utilize all that God has given us. No one is counted out. As long as you are on this earth, you have the ability to do something great. So listeners, once again, I want to thank you for listening to SB Favorite Thinking Podcast. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at sbfavor. I'm also on TikTok. I'm not dancing over there, but I do have inspirational content there at sbfavor. I thank you for listening again, and please make sure you share the podcast with others. You can also find me wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you subscribe there wherever you listen to podcasts. I also have a YouTube channel. Please click like, leave me some feedback. And once again, make sure you share the podcast with others. I thank you again for taking the time to listen. And Dominique, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, listeners, you have a good day.